Yes.
Yes, but with caveats.
I didn't know we were allowed to say different things.
Something else other than... Well, it's an open-ended question, isn't it?
Yeah.
Go on, intro it.
Good afternoon, morning, evening or night, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Is Red Dead Redemption 2 really as good as they say?
It's the second one.
Now, they are saying
They are saying
it's a 10 out of 10 best game ever.
it's currently sat at a 97 on Metacritic or something like that?
Which, I'm surprised it's higher than God of War on Metacritic.
Really?
Yeah.
It's Rockstar, man.
Mm-hmm. I think God of War has 95 or maybe even 96. But, yeah.
Well.
Now, this is a juicy game, and we're going to talk about it for a long time.
It's going to be a juicy vid.
So we will go spoiler-free for as long as possible, and we'll drop a spoiler warning.
We'll make it very clear, because this game is so long, people are going to be discovering new things, playing it for such a long time. It's so long. We basically have just had to live in this game world to even finish the story mode, and still have loads of it untouched. So in a way, it's almost initial impressions, but we have both finished the story mode.
Yes.
At the very least. So again, we will make it clear before spoiling anything. We'll try and talk about our overall thoughts without spoiling anything, and just talk about mechanics at first. So
yeah, definitely. So first of all, general gameplay.
Well, first of all, do we like the game?
Well, yes, it's as good as they say.
We're both fans of the original Red Dead. You more than me.
Yeah, absolutely. The thing is, I think it's as good as they say, but not what they're saying about it.
It's as good as they say, but in a different way.
Yeah. I couldn't have said it better myself.
Mm-hmm. I think I'd agree with that.
Yeah. So, in terms of just gameplay, it's a game, so we should probably talk about gameplay.
Okay. But as far as I think it's better than the original Red Dead in every way, and I think it's Rockstar's best game.
It's absolutely Rockstar's best game. And with that said, it also has the best gameplay of a Rockstar game. Rockstar games are known for...
What, even better than Max Payne 3?
Yeah.
Really?
It does, yeah. I might not say the same if I were to play it on PC. But in terms of console, which most people will be playing Rockstar games on consoles, I think.
Most people will be buying this on PS4, yeah.
Yep. It definitely, by a long shot, as someone that's played every Rockstar game probably more than everyone else on the jar.
Yeah, easily.
I think I noticed things immediately that felt so much better.
In what way?
So, typically Rockstar over-animate. So,
in terms of visual...
In terms of animations. So when you want to...
So character animation.
So you're sprinting along and you want to take a right. So the character has to do this awkward sort of curve to go in the direction you want to go. Favouring
the animation as opposed to
gameplay. Yeah. So it takes away control in favour of it looking better. Whereas in this one, they've animated it so you sort of do a sideways sprint and turn into that direction, which still looks great.
Yeah.
And it feels great. And although the movement and gameplay isn't perfect by any means.
Yeah, I'll get into my gripes in a minute.
Yeah. But just in terms of moving around, it feels so much better. The gunplay feels so much better than every other Rockstar game. It feels like guns actually feel different, you know?
Yeah, that's true, yeah.
In Red Dead, GTA, so on and so forth, every gun is pretty much the same because they always have this dot that represents basically exactly where the bullet is going to go. Yeah. But that's changed in this one. You've got to like pulse your weapons so that the accuracy is as...
Yeah, your accuracy is affected by if you're moving, if you get hit,
Yeah.
You have to kind of time shots and do that
how
kind of thing.
quickly you're firing. So, but overall, the gameplay is such a huge improvement. Which over the previous Rockstar game, which would have been GTA 5.
I'd agree it's definitely better than GTA 5's gunplay and just the way you move around. But that's not to say there are certain things that piss me off with movement and stuff like that. Everyone's talking about weird restrictions on movement sometimes, like how slow you walk through camp. Just a little one. A little gripe that ends up being way more annoying than it should be, because there are only two movement speeds. There's walking and sprinting. So a lot of the time you're trying to just go into a saloon and you just burst through the door and everyone's like, what the? When you just wanted to casually walk in a bit faster than the slowest speed possible. For me, I think the perspective as someone who's now finished the campaign is very different to where it began.
Yeah.
At first, for me, it took quite a few hours for me to get into the game, really get hooked by it, because there are so many. It is so expansive, not just in terms of the map and all of that, but every single element has so many layers. Yeah. Everything is customized down to how your character looks, the clothes you buy, the weapons you use and the maintenance that requires, and then your horse and everything your horse requires, and then your camp and everything the camp requires. And Arthur also has bars that need monitoring in terms of food.
Yeah, we haven't talked about that yet.
I mean, that's what I'm saying. There's so much you need to learn with the game. It takes such a long time to get used to it. I think the barrier to entry is really high in terms of just wrapping your head around everything the game has to offer.
Yeah.
And I don't think they do the best job of teaching it to you, but I don't know how else they really could, because it is just so expansive. And I'm comparing it in my head when I'm getting frustrated with how opaque it is to games that are much more simple in terms of gameplay or just their spectacle.
Yeah.
So really what you should be comparing it to is something like, I don't know, Skyrim. Vast open world, you can kind of do what you want. And Skyrim doesn't do the best at sort of teaching you its systems or anything. And it's kind of on you to kind of figure it out because of how many options you have to approach the game. I mean, I was saying before we started, there are players of this game who could happily never even touch the single player to a certain extent.
Yeah.
Not finish it even, but get so much out of just exploring. This game you could just do hunting. Like, all these systems are fleshed out to the point where you could just have that be your thing. I'm your hunter, I'm just an explorer, I'm just doing treasure maps.
That's something that Rockstar has definitely improved upon in this game. Whereas in GTA there are all these things you could do, but you don't really want to because they sort of feel half-baked.
Yeah.
Whereas in this game, like the hunting mechanics, they didn't need to go as in-depth as they did.
Yeah.
But I mean, if you want to do that, you can. If you don't want to do that, you don't have to.
Mm-hmm.
And you get rewarded for doing it, but nothing ever forces you into doing it. I think that sort of game design is brilliant.
Yeah. I will say there are things at first that seem way more overbearing and overwhelming than they actually are. Like when I first saw the like hunger bar type things pop up, I was a bit like, oh shit, I've never liked this in any game I've played. I hate hunger bars. I hate that kind of micromanagement stuff. And the same with the camp, because they just don't do the best job of communicating how it actually works until you've fooled around with it for a significant amount of time. Like James from Jar, he's just abandoned the game because he thought the micromanaging in terms of the camp was too much.
Yeah.
Or whatever. He didn't really give it a chance. And I don't think, I mean, for every other game we say, well, after 7 hours you really get your head around it. I don't really like that excuse a lot of the time. I think what it ultimately comes down to is every single decision in the game is extremely deliberate in terms of Rockstar's choice. Like, all of the things people are complaining about obviously came down to some kind of decision making at Rockstar.
Yeah.
so that it's not like they're unaware. This isn't like a Bethesda glitch fest where like systems are broken and stuff like that. It's more just the pacing is very deliberate. The setup of everything is all very intentional, and the game very much wants you to play it on its terms. It doesn't bend over backwards to sort of help you get into it. It kind of just hands you the cards and just lets you play with them, as opposed to most every other game, which is about instant gratification, getting you into the game as quickly as possible, being user friendly and all that. And it's just not that at all. And I don't think I can understand why one may not enjoy that or find it fun or like that necessarily, or find it too much and it being a huge turn-off, because the original Red Dead had some similar elements, but it wasn't quite as overwhelming in the same way. But I would never criticize the game myself for that, because people are saying it is so slow. You know, the pacing's very slow. Everything is a slow. This game is a slow burn. Very slow build up. The kind of thing we're just not used to in games, because, as I say, it's a lot of instant gratification, a lot of stuff. Just think about like the beginning of Spider-Man PS4, for example. It's just boom, you're just straight into the action, which as many games do.
Turned out to be to Spider-Man's detriment.
Yeah, I was going to say that as well. Like, in terms of teaching mechanics, I don't think many games do a good job of that.
No.
Spider-Man was really bad at it. I don't think God of War was even very good at a lot of the menu system stuff, teaching it, because it's so much to teach someone and it's really hard to do.
Yeah.
When it isn't something as simple as like a Mega Man, where you know, there are only so many layers you have to explain to someone, and you can do it purely without any text or any visuals or anything like that.
Yeah.
But I mean, I had an idea that might sort of fix a lot of the issues people had, because we should probably talk about how people have been reacting to the game. Because of course, when a game gets really high critic reviews, it becomes a race to criticize it and find what's wrong with it. So there's just a flood of people saying it's really boring, the pacing's awful, the gameplay sucks, and it's heavy and clunky and bad. And again, I think it's fine if that pacing's too much for you. I think that is a valid reason to not play it. But I personally think you're missing out on a very intentional design, because like with movies, books, TV, stuff like that, we're okay with slow burns, very slow, deliberate character building in any other medium. Look at something like Better Call Saul compared to Breaking Bad, right?
Yeah.
Breaking Bad being, I don't know, slightly more instant gratification, whereas Better Call Saul reels it way back, and barely anything in terms of plot happens over a season, but there's a ton of like character development, small little details, character writing, stuff like that. So it's more in line with something like that, with a slow, detail-orientated novel. And I think that very deliberate decision makes the payoffs in the game hit so much harder.
Yeah.
Work so much better. One thing I would say about how slow the first few hours are in terms of pacing was, it would have been nice if they just dripped in a little bit more to kind of a bit of fuel in the engine before slowing it right down, as in maybe start on some action thing. Because I think of GTA 5, Rockstar's last game, there's that, it opens on a heist. It's great, it's exciting energy to it, shows you like everything that the game, it gives you like a little taste of what you're going to experience over the game. Yeah. Before reeling it way back. So if you take that heist bit out at the beginning of GTA 5, it's actually really slow in that game for a long time as well, as it slowly builds up, but it doesn't feel as slow because you had that bombastic intro that sets everything up. It has all the story hooks. You know, there's so much that's set up in that intro that's just like, oh, I want to find out what's going on here, what's going to happen. And I feel like the hooks take it way longer to come into play in Red Dead 2, because
that's something. One of the many reasons in this game, which we'll get onto later, I definitely think this game is way better if you've played the first one.
Definitely. Well, that's the thing. The hook of the game is knowing how Red Dead Redemption 1 starts and ends.
Yeah.
So if you haven't played it, I'm not surprised people are like, this is boring. Why should I care about any of this?
Yeah.
But the hook for people who know about the first game is like, I know these characters or bits and pieces about them, and I know where they end up.
Yeah.
How are they going to get there? And that's kind of the initial hook, because you don't know anything about Arthur. He's not even mentioned in the original Red Dead.
No.
So the game really is about getting you invested into Arthur and the group, the camp, and the eventual tragedy, the inevitable tragedy of it all.
Yeah, you know what's coming, but the thing is, the game does such an amazing job of characterizing each individual character and making you give a shit about everyone's motivations and the whole idea of the gang. And I mean, it's been so long since... if you showed me a picture of the gang, I could name 90% of them. And in a movie or whatever, another game where they have a cast of characters this broad, like, I can never name characters like this. Whereas they do such a good job of motivating you to continue with the story and so on and so forth.
What did I describe? I came up with something that I thought described this game quite well. I said it was something, it's like 6 seasons of a TV show with the production of a movie the whole way. So, I mean, I'm just trying to compartmentalize like each part of this game, because we've just gone from mechanics to basic overview, sort of.
Yeah.
We should probably reel it back to mechanics, because...
We're touching more on the sort of survival elements. Like you say, they're not overbearing at all. There's like a very...
But they give the impression that they sort of are at first.
Yeah. So I can understand that sort of worrying people, but...
Like I remember seeing Angry Joe on Twitter. He must have just got to the parts where they're first introduced and being like, I don't like this, I don't like the idea of this.
Yeah.
But it really isn't a big deal. You can just pull out a biscuit and eat it. Or what I would do is I'd do a few missions until it was nighttime, then sleep, and then everything's refilled anyway.
Yeah, or just if you're at the camp in the afternoon having a bowl of stew, and then
I would eat the stew as well.
You can walk around the camp eating it and talking to people while you eat it, and that's a mechanic we can talk about. You can talk to anyone in the game, and there are different sort of depths depending on who Rockstar have chosen to have more things to say. You can react contextually by just holding the left trigger.
Yeah.
And I think that's such a genius move, especially for a Rockstar game.
Yes, it's interesting. It's kind of taking that, instead of what something like Fallout 3 or the Mass Effect games do, where everything comes to a halt and a wheel pops up, it's all in-game. There are little things that, with the controls, that I think a lot of people find annoying.
Yeah.
Like if more times than I would have liked, I had things happen that were like, I was not trying to do that. Like I was just trying to get onto my horse in an awkward position in a town once, and I just grabbed someone by his neck and strangled him.
I did that once, and I also stole a guy's wagon by accident the first time I played the game, and I got killed. But I mean, that's just like a learning experience.
I feel like it's going to happen to you at some point in the game, and when it does, it's really annoying. But if you reel it back and think about how many choices and options they're giving you, it's just going to happen.
That's the thing, like, there's only so many buttons on a controller that I don't think it could have been done in any more efficient of a way.
Yeah. It's just going to happen when you have a world this dense. Filled with so many options. Like stuff is going to break and glitch and feel awkward and clunky just because of how much stuff you are able to do through a controller. Yeah. Can't read your mind.
But I must admit, I'm slightly disappointed by the interactivity elements, because I don't know if it was the trailers or the people talking about it that went to see the game for
Might have overhyped that element, maybe.
Yeah, they suggested that it was way more complex and way deeper than I think it actually is.
Mm-hmm.
And
it's way more like a elaborated version of Red Dead 1 to me.
Yeah, I mean, in Red Dead 1, you could press a button and John would tip his hat.
Mm-hmm.
And it's an extension of that with another option, basically.
Yeah.
You can do that same thing, but or you can say, fuck you, bitch.
Yeah. Where else can we go? I'm just trying to think before we go into anything spoiler related.
Yeah. I mean, we can talk about the world. The world itself is so varied in its vistas, and its locations. It's honestly breathtaking how they can have a swampy area, a desert, a snowy mountain area, mountainous forests, and it all looks fucking incredible. And it's mind-blowing.
I can't believe how good this game looks.
Yeah.
And not just how good it looks in terms of detail, but how good all the animation is.
Yeah,
how good all the voice acting and everything presentation-wise.
As per usual, the attention to detail from a Rockstar game. But like this is their first real next-gen game.
Yeah.
And it's unbelievable, the animations, texture qualities, just things that interact with one another. You said you saw a video today of someone looking at a bird and it flies down, picks up a snake, and
like an in-world snake that is a thing that you can also find. It's not just like a stock animation.
Yeah.
Like you could interact with that snake.
Yeah, because they have different AI for every animal, so they react how that animal would react.
Don't you think it's getting like creepily, scarily close to just being artificial intelligence?
Yeah.
Like they've just designed a world and then they're just letting it exist.
Well, that's the thing as well. Like with animals, they've got basic intelligence, so that these animals are so lifelike. And I'm sure at this point people have seen the videos of like you punch your horse in the face and it immediately turns and just
kicks you,
jabs you in the leg,
kills you.
Yeah. It's honestly incredible.
It's such a smart idea because I've never really liked animals in open world games before. They're always just like, they're so video gamey. Like I think about the bears in Skyrim, how they're running towards you, and it's just, it's definitely a video game bear. This is dumb.
The game that last did it as well as this game was probably Red Dead 1. Because I remember thinking animals reacted in a in a good way, whereas in Skyrim they sort of just stand there if they're a passive.
They don't feel like, you know how in Far Cry or any of those Ubisoft games or Assassin's Creed or something, they kind of feel like they only exist to be hunted.
Yeah,
and they wouldn't exist
for
otherwise.
The player.
Yeah. Whereas in the game, you just feel like you are where you are, and there are going to be animals. The only funny things that can happen is when like rabbits are really slow. I've noticed for some reason, way slower than actual rabbits are. Yeah,
rabbits are very quick in real life.
Yeah,
I feel
like they'd be way too fast to hunt. Just little things like that. The same as in God of War, those really slow birds. Mama. Horses.
Yeah.
Got to talk about horses.
Horse riding has been boosted. Once again, Rockstar have made the best horse in a video game. It's like such a weird thing to point out.
Yeah. Well, horses, they're tough, man. They're tough to get right.
They're extremely tough.
I always avoid riding horses in games because they always look shit and are awkward and annoying.
I was looking at gameplay from Assassin's Creed 3 the other day.
Yikes.
God damn.
That's what was making me think of the animals, because I remember going beaver hunting in that game.
Yeah, I remember you doing that. But anyway, so you can bond with your horse. That's a new thing.
Yeah.
The thing is, not only do you bond like in that stat in the game, but you honestly, or at least I did, felt a connection to this horse.
That was one thing I was really surprised by. Because when you hear the features that you have to do with your horse being listed, you think, it could be a chore.
Yeah.
But it's super intentional, and even in the menu where you go to like your status, and there's a little picture of Arthur, and next to it there's a huge picture of like your horse, emphasizing like this fucking dude or gal is, you have to take care of this thing. Like it's so important to not only you as a player, but to Arthur as well. And they do that dastardly thing of making you name it.
Yeah.
So that's just number one. It's like the number one rule. Like if you're like a pig farmer, you don't name your animals. Otherwise, you're gonna get attached. As soon as you name them, that's when it's fucking over, man.
And the horse can die at any point with all your shit on it, and it does make you have this attachment to your horse. You're on it for so much of the game. And every time you're just riding through the forest and you fucking ram your horse straight into a tree.
By the way, tip on that. Apparently, the horse naturally has an intelligence. So if you're going through an area with trees, as long as you don't touch the left stick and just hold A, it will go through it and not smash into trees. But the reason you smash into them is because you're trying to avoid them at the same time as the horse AI is. Yeah. So that's why it's crashing into the trees. I only found that out last night after finishing it.
I sort of knew, but I couldn't help but try to control it, because in Red Dead 1, if your horse ragdolled, it was dead. Because they didn't animate it standing back up.
Too difficult.
Yeah, way too difficult. But they've fucking gone and done it, so you can run into fences, you can run into trees, run
horse ragdoll.
Yeah, horse ragdoll, and it looks great, and it's terrifying every time you do it.
Because you don't want your horse to die.
Yeah, but before people worry that if your horse dies, like you're fucked, because I mean all your guns are on it, all your shit. You can buy like in-game items to revive your horse if it does die.
Yeah, and I didn't even need to buy them. Everyone I looted, like I just had a bunch of them.
I used one once as well in the whole game. And it was after I'd finished the story.
Really?
So yeah.
Yeah, I'd used one once through the whole game.
Yeah.
Just through it was through some bullshit thing as well. One thing I don't like about how every weapon is stored on the horse is how it doesn't remember your loadout.
Yep.
And it keeps resetting it all the time. That really pissed me off, where it was like, I just got these weapons that I really like, and then a mission starts and I just don't have it, and it's like, well, now I'm fucked in this situation because I needed that weapon.
The missions, they've done something where they
suggest weapons.
They
based
suggest
on the mission.
weapons that it's like one rifle and one repeater, which I never want to carry, because that's basically two of the same things. I want a shotgun and a repeater or a rifle. But the game is like, nah, we're telling you what to do.
Yeah.
But it's a barrier that shouldn't be there, basically.
Yeah.
So you've got to go up to your horse, hold left bumper, change the weapons
I failed missions because a mission started and it's like, come on, let's go. And then I look at my loadout and it's like, oh, I don't want that. So I walk back to my horse, they go off, get killed, and then I fail. And it's like, okay, I have to use these weapons.
I've never had that happen to me, but yeah, it can be a bit frustrating, but I mean, in the overall scheme of things, it's quite a minor gripe in my
annoyance.
Opinion. Yeah, it's something that could honestly be fixed in a patch, and I hope they do.
Well, because you can go into gun stores and set your loadout.
Can you?
Yeah, you can set your loadout, but as soon as you change it on your horse, then it's gone.
Oh.
So I don't know why they didn't have like a loadout system where you can automatically...
like the outfit system.
Yeah, like the outfits and load.
Choose between different
loadouts. That'd be so much more convenient and easy.
Yeah. But Jim Sterling, I remember, and I'm sure this isn't just him, but this is where I heard it from, has been complaining about that sort of thing. The way you loot bodies, you got to like pick them up and...
Very slow, yeah.
Yeah, and you've got to get the weapons out and shit off your horse when you get off your horse and so on and so forth. But I honestly really like that.
It's different.
Yeah, but it gives the world such like a real feeling, even though it doesn't make sense that all these weapons are stored on your horse. But the horse is the GTA protagonist, just infinite weapons on him. But it's just like that one barrier makes the whole world feel more real.
Yeah. It goes a step further than most other games do.
Yeah.
In that regard. Like you have to clean your guns every now and again. You have to make sure you're not covered in filth and your horse isn't covered in filth.
Yeah.
Stuff like that.
You don't really need to worry about you being covered in filth, just your horse.
Just if you don't want to look like a psycho.
Yeah. You might want to do that.
Yeah.
But it's just unreal, like going back to animations. So Arthur was holding the rabbit like this and walking around.
Mm-hmm.
And then I walked for a little bit further, and he threw it over his shoulder. Like, that makes so much more sense.
Mm-hmm.
And the details like that are just never ending.
Yeah.
It's jaw-dropping.
That's the thing to me, like... It's hard. It's a weird complaint when your complaint is that it's too detailed.
Mm-hmm.
It's too much going on. And this is what I was saying about earlier. I alluded to this idea that the game is all about, no, you play it our way, the way we designed it. I was imagining, what if, like a lot of other games do, if there was some way of being able to customize your experience more,
Mm-hmm.
in terms of, there will be players who just want to play the story, right?
Yeah.
So why not offer an option like a lot of games do at the start, where it's like, do you want more story focused,
Mm-hmm.
other stuff's toned down a bit, and the other way around. And they could even do it somewhat like, it's maybe a weird comparison at first, but you know how in Forza you can customize how difficult you want the game to be, and you're rewarded more for it being more difficult.
Mm-hmm.
Some system like that, so it just doesn't put as many people off as it does, because the game's story is so well written and so fucking fantastic that, like, it seems a shame that the long horse riding sections and these micromanaging elements will be putting people off, and people like James, who otherwise might have finished it.
Yeah.
Or even just a setting to make it play more like the original Red Dead without any of those other systems and stuff. So it's just, you can just fast track through the story.
Yeah.
Because there, I will say there were too many times for my liking where you had to either ride somewhere that's really far away or ride back from somewhere that's really far away.
Mm-hmm.
And it's especially annoying when in plenty of missions they skip it for you. So the game has the tech in it. And I liked it when a mission ended and the character you're with said, do you want to come with me?
Yeah.
And that skipped it. And I feel like that should have been an option at the end of most missions where you had to go really far away, because it does hurt the pacing, I think, in terms of when really important things are happening and you want to be rushing to the next story point, unless it's one of those really intentional ones where they've got like a custom bit of music that's playing in big certain after big set pieces and stuff like that, which I think are fine to have every now and again.
I think those bits are beyond fine. I love every single one of those bits.
But for every one of those, there are like 10 where you're just riding through the world for ages.
My thing with that complaint is that some of my best moments was when I was...
But that's what I'm saying about, I know why it's in the game.
Yeah.
They want you to be exploring. The game's designed that way. They want to make sure you are traveling personally to each area.
Yeah.
That's why they hide away the fast travel option behind like loads of menus and stuff. Like, I'm sure there are loads of people that don't even know that's in the game.
I think it's because there are so many distractions in this world and just endless coincidental things you can come across and see and do. What I was going to say, like, my best moments from the game are just riding to a side quest, but then this happens, so I'm going to do that for a bit, and then I end up further away, and then so I'm taking a different route, but this other thing happens, and it just takes me to all these places, and then I'm just getting all this gameplay where I thought I was just going to have a long boring ride.
The key word there was side, though.
Yeah.
It does hurt when you're trying to have, like, say there's a mission and something huge happens. It is that classic dissonance thing where it's like, it makes no sense for Arthur
just the
to
open world.
Yeah,
problem,
exactly. Yeah. So
I never thought the story had that amount of urgency to it, though. The story was engaging non-stop, in my opinion. And I was always intrigued to see what happened next, but not to the point where I thought it didn't make sense for me to maybe not go and pay someone else a visit that I met earlier on in the game.
I think for maybe the first half, that's true. It just gets to such a point where there's just like so much tension and you have no clue what's going to happen.
Yeah.
That to me, I was just like, I have to find out what's going to happen. I just can't not. I have to just go through it, because I didn't do that much side stuff, because I'm so paranoid about having spoilers just ruin the game for me. Like you had one just ruin a huge reveal just through some ridiculous reason. And I've had countless games and all sorts spoiled for me in the past, and it just sucks to have like all the surprise and excitement taken away from you. So the way I like playing games of this size is to go through the story, just focus on the story, get it done so you know everything that happens, and then wait a little while, wait a few weeks, few months, go back in and just play at your own pace, the way it was probably intended and designed. But then you don't have that constant fire of like, God, what if I go on Twitter and it's spoiled, or what if I just Google something about the game and there's a headline or something or a picture that spoils huge elements of the game. So for me, the game just is not designed around bookending just going through just the story. No. It's really not designed that way. And me and Ruben played it that same way, I think. For the same reasons. We wanted to see what happened and we didn't want it spoiled. And if there were more options, maybe that wouldn't be an issue. Like if you could just, after a mission, fast travel back to camp, or had a bit more freedom in terms of that kind of stuff. I wouldn't necessarily hold it against the game though. Like if I was one of those lucky people that could have got the game weeks early, I probably would have played it a bit more loose, allowing myself to do more. And I will say, if you haven't played the game and you've got this far, do side quests, because some of the best moments in the game are payoffs from doing side stuff, which I didn't know. There's loads of stuff like that the game does not make clear. And we need to talk about the honor system, which is back from Red Dead 1, which is basically the Paragon Renegade type thing, which I don't really like in any game very much. No, it just feels like it's taking that like natural grey area and turning it into a black and white like mathematical thing.
Especially in this game where it is grey areas, just like non-stop.
To me, it makes no sense, and it made no sense for Arthur Morgan to fit into either of those, because the character is so grey anyway. He seems to sort of make decisions based on how he's feeling in the moment, based on,
I think it would have been fine to have that system in the game, so have people react to you differently. So having that bar where you go into red or white, but you just can't see it. Yeah.
It's all back end. That would be fine.
Yeah. And I think you do have the option to turn it off, which I would have done it had I known.
I'm okay with that, but the fact is the certain things about the game change because of it. You get different endings based on what your honor is.
Well, I think that's just one choice at the end. You get two choices at the end, and if you do...
Well, and there's another like minor thing that would be spoilers, which I'll mention when we go into that bit.
We'll get into it after.
As far as the actual like missions go, they're pretty fun.
I remember being annoyed by one mission. Okay. And for a Rockstar game, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah, Rockstar games vary... Their missions per game vary in quality so much. I mean, Red Dead 1.
There are so many missions that piss me off.
4 or 5 just cow herding
in a row
missions. There's 2 in a row, then there's one later on, and then one at the end of the game. And it's just like, all right, this gameplay isn't like deep or anything. Yeah. The Red Dead 1 is one of my favorite games of all time, but that's definitely a problem. But this game, it's when it introduces a gimmick like that, or just a little thing that isn't the usual shooting or riding. It's not. They don't dwell on it.
No,
they do it once briefly and then let it go.
It's just establishing like a new way to play the game.
Exactly.
Yeah, like be it fishing and stuff. I hate fishing in every game. I don't like herding and stuff like that. And they don't overstay their welcome because it is just 1 or 2 missions out of the 100 plus that make up the main game.
Yeah.
It's surprisingly varied for how many missions there are.
Yeah.
Although I guess some people disagree with that. Like Donkey's video released at the time of us recording this, and he said it gets quite repetitive in terms of the shooting gallery aspect of it. But I thought by the time it does become way more shooty, the stakes are so much higher.
Yeah.
And
well, it wouldn't make sense to be doing the sort of goofier things that you're doing halfway through the game at that point.
Yeah.
Because of the context of everything that's
Again,
going
I
on.
think it's an intentional thing to try and be freaking you out, like constantly towards the end of the game, like people were just coming for me constantly, trying to just kill me.
Yeah.
So it was like, to me,
and
that
everyone in your gang, you don't know who is gonna survive, who's not gonna survive, apart from the characters that you know are in Red Dead 1.
Yeah.
Are there any other non-spoilery things we can say?
It's a game that's weirdly sometimes just not fun. I'd say a certain percentage of it just isn't fun.
In a bad way?
To play.
Like,
just in like a... It just depends on where you're coming at it from. Like, if you are someone that does just want to experience a story, you don't always want to be maintaining a gun. You don't always want to be cleaning your horse and that kind of stuff.
It's because it's not about that. It's really hard to explain, but it's about existing in a world and sort of going along with wherever the game happens to take you.
Yeah.
You know?
That's what I think. The game, it's not very satisfying if you just play it in like hour chunks, 1 hour or less. It needs to be played in big chunks. I'm talking 4 or 5 hours at a time.
Yeah. Honestly, the first few days of this game being out, I couldn't put the controller down.
Really? So it took me way longer. There's a certain moment, which I'll say in the spoiler bit, where I was like, okay, I'm fully in now. Yeah. I don't know what else we can really say without
because from my perspective, this is everything I wanted.
That's good, yeah.
To me, this game is so incredibly good. I can't speak for everyone, but I would recommend it to everyone. It's worth a shot at least. I mean, if some of the things we've been saying puts you off, wait until it's discounted at some point or whatever. But this game is something really special, and I don't think I'm gonna forget about it anytime soon.
No. It's definitely one of, if not the best, like video game piece of artwork in like the AAA space of this generation. Of even the previous one probably as well. It's better than most of those games, just in terms of how it has a vision. It stays true to its vision from beginning to end. It's packed full of content. It's not full of like crap, like microtransactions or anything like that. So in terms of that stuff, but I approach things more on like a story level, and I'm not always down to just go and hunt for a million hours and do all this side stuff, go play dominoes and shit like that.
Yeah, I did play poker a few times.
Yeah.
Poker's better than ever, by the way, in a Red Dead game. It's the best poker in an open world game.
Really?
And it better be in Red Dead Online with real microtransactions. Are microtransactions gambling? Literal poker?
I mean, yeah, I'd say you should play it, probably. You should give it a chance.
Absolutely, and I think this game might reverberate through the entire medium, like with certain aspects.
It's so ahead of its time on so many like different ways, in terms of its writing, in terms of its acting, its animation fidelity, its visual fidelity for how big it is.
Yeah,
it's just so impressive, and it's. I've always got to take a bow to whenever a game in particular can just be so impressive to me that I just can't even comprehend where they even began in terms of making it.
Yeah.
Which is also a rarity. So, I mean, it's just great to see that Rockstar have the clout to be able to make something like this.
Yeah.
And be given the money and time. And this is what is possible. This is why I have absolutely no patience or excuses for fucking bullshit like Destiny. Or any game like that, COD, FIFA, any of this crap, which is shit out constantly. And they're way more product than they are like artwork with a vision. As fun as some of them are to play just on the most bare bones level. There's way more going on here. Warning! Spoiler alert! Spoilers are coming in! Spoiler! This is the part I've been excited for. Because goddamn is this game's story the best. Yeah, it's got so many moments. Like, just in the group chat earlier, I was like, oh, do you remember that bit? Did you see that bit? God, that was so cool. It's just so satisfying.
It's got one of the best stories and the best presentation of a story in video games ever. Yeah.
It's definitely just way up there. Because, like, as good as something like The Last of Us is, the actual presentation of it is quite flat at times. What carries it is the performance. But everything in this game is, like, it's just so pretty. And the art direction is so good.
Yeah.
Just everything about it is so... Because of how slow it is, as I was saying earlier, that slow progression, what they're able to do with that gradual shift in character with Arthur and his slow realization of what he's actually got himself into and what his life has meant and everything he's achieved and hasn't achieved because of his decisions is fucking brilliant. Like his arc throughout the game is so natural and it just feels like real life.
Yeah.
It feels like this is something that these people have actually gone through and that it doesn't take huge jumps of logic and stuff.
No.
And that's why that slow burn is so necessary for this story to work.
Yeah.
Because from the beginning, it's like, okay, obviously something's going to go wrong here because we know how Red Dead 1 starts and we know how they talk about those times. How are they going to get there? What's going to be the main cause? And I just like how there's nothing cut and dry about it. Everything is so gradual. There's so many different elements to it that do lead to that fragmentation between the group. That it's just so full of like detail and character. And they even make things that they know would be really unsatisfying, like Dutch being... He's kind of the main villain of the game in a way.
Yeah,
sort of.
The way it was advertised, it looked like Milton was going to be the villain. That's the Pinkerton.
The Pinkerton guy.
Yeah,
right?
he's after you. But he's in it like 3 times. He's sort of just... He represents the force that is basically tearing apart the gang.
Yeah.
And I forgot what I was going to say.
Micah is the character they created to be the villain of the game.
Yes.
The actual, like, objective evil. Nothing good about him. He's a rat. He's scum. And that's how you're able to have a satisfying arc of redemption just purely in terms of revenge with that character, because you can't kill Dutch in this game.
No,
you can't have that happen.
Of course, he kills himself in Red Dead 1,
which is so important to his character.
Yeah,
because we went back and watched the Dutch cutscenes, and I watched a couple others, and it's so true to how Dutch acts in that game.
Yeah,
his character is so good in Red Dead 2 especially.
Did you notice
every scene with him?
He had like first billing above Arthur.
Did he?
In the credits? Yeah, I think in many ways Dutch is the main character. You don't spend as much time with him, but he's got this focus on him. And even the game uses like that fishing mission. You sort of see who he is, like the good man that he's trying to be.
Yeah.
And how that just gradually slips away.
There's just something so inherently interesting about this group of people who are they're just in the wrong time. They can't exist anymore. And everything about their existence is countering 99% of the rest of the world. They don't want them. They want them gone. They are just like a tick on the back of this fucking world. And them just like struggling and constantly trying to come up with ways to. They dangle like hope constantly.
Yes.
Like you think, maybe they will. Maybe some of them will get away from this, and some of them do, but all the ones you care about don't.
No.
I mentioned earlier, there's a point in the game where, for lack of a better term, shit gets real. Shit just got real. It's where the Irish character, I forget his name. What's his name?
Sean.
It's just a real like classic Walking Dead comic book moment.
Yeah.
Where he's just in the middle of saying something and his head fucking explodes.
Yeah.
And it's like, shit, that really brings home like no one fucking wants these people around. They just want them gone.
Not even the people that they just arrived with, and they don't represent the usual government. They're meant to be like the south of North America that lost the war, the Civil War, and so America doesn't really want them either. But even these guys don't want Dutch's gang.
And they managed to keep the deaths and the shocking moments surprising.
Yeah. It's almost like a Coen Brothers story.
I was meaning to say that. Yeah.
Where things they start off with a basic plan, and then something bad happens.
That just escalates.
It gets worse and worse.
And spirals
and worse
out. Totally spirals out of control.
And then it just happens over and over and over, and you know it's coming every time, but you just don't want it to.
And I like the surprises as well that they sneak in. For a story that you know the end of, it is a feat to be able to still surprise you.
Yeah.
In a lot and keep it interesting.
Watching the Red Dead 1 clips, it's unbelievable how they gave you in that game so much context, yet not so much that
they kept it vague enough, but at the same time gave you enough
context
to understand what was happening.
It's really smart. It makes you think they had it planned from the start.
Well, maybe they did have some kind of just in text form, like this is what happened in the past, something along these lines happened which led to this happening. They were clearly very passionate about this idea of like what happened before. So it seems so well thought out, and like it doesn't feel like the typical prequel syndrome where it's like just scrounging for ideas, and very little fan service as well. There is some in there.
There's enough. It's perfect, and it's not overbearing.
It's not pandering.
No, it's not pandering.
It makes sense within the context, and it's like everything you want out of the moment, like.
You see how John gets his scars, his iconic face,
and they just don't even. It's barely even a thing. It's just that happened or whatever, and that's just right at the beginning of the game as well. It's not like wow, you got caught in the maelstrom.
Well, they didn't make it something fucking ridiculous as well, where he's like gunslinging against 1,000 other people and 2 bullets.
It's just like when you actually get a scar, it's just. Normally because you lose some kind of fight or...
Yeah, wolves got you. That's it. You got lost and some wolves found you.
I really liked how John... He's almost unrecognisable to how he is in Red Dead
I don't know
1.
if it's the performance or the writing or both, but...
It's the writing. It's a purposeful thing.
John felt much more naive and way younger.
John has a full arc of his own, despite not being playable until the last 1/8 of the game. He starts off as naive. He doesn't even really like his family all that much.
No, well, he says that he's not Jack's dad, which we know completely changes by Red Dead 2 or Red Dead 1.
Yeah.
And he's not really interested in Abigail.
And by the end of the game, it completely 180s because of Arthur.
Yeah, and because of an event that happens sort of, halfway through?
Roughly halfway through.
Yeah.
I think we don't need to beat around the bush because we're in spoilers now.
Yeah.
But that moment where Jack gets taken or whatever might be the best part of the game for me. That whole section.
In terms of the way everything's been building and the payoff with gameplay as well as presentation and cutscenes.
Obviously, the music is so well done. Woody Jackson and his team and all that. Just it's way less show-offy, and because the first Red Dead has like that theme you can automatically picture in your head.
It's in my head right now.
Yeah, exactly. It doesn't have that in the same way. But I like the direction they did because it fits way more with the subdued, slow burn nature of everything.
Yeah.
So when
I said to you very shortly after the game had come out that the soundtrack was much more calm and nice.
Yeah.
For while you're just riding around, whereas in Red Dead 1 it's sort of
yeah, it's way more like cowboy. I'm a fucking
in the desert, whereas you're going through forests and stuff, and
it's more like morose. Everything about it is like foreboding, and
it's
honestly really hopeless. Like it's so depressing.
Yeah,
it's totally a tragedy.
Yeah,
every character has a tragic end. Everyone, even at the end of the game, there's that really like bittersweet moment where Jack proposes. John proposes to Abigail, and it's the whole time you're like, I fucking know what happens to you.
I know.
And when you go to when he chooses the barn that fucking leads to his end.
Yeah,
there's so much shit like that. Or like little moments like where Arthur shows weakness to people and stuff like that. It's like fucking Christ. But how do you feel about Arthur dying? Obviously.
The thing is, like, I was just convincing myself, nah, he's not gonna die.
Yeah, I was saying the whole time they can't do it. Because I remember you saying that like they'd said in an interview that they wouldn't. I think
I'd misinterpreted the quote because they said you don't change character at any point, but I think they just meant in the GTA 5 way, where you switch between characters.
That would make sense. So the whole time I was expecting, okay, so he's maybe going to escape and wind up in the desert.
I thought he was going to end up with some Native Americans and just live with them and be peaceful.
Really?
But of course he goes and
I thought he was going to... I thought there might be something to either do with Sadie or the other woman from the beginning. I thought there might be a choice of like maybe he runs away with one of them.
Did you do the side mission with her where you go to like the show?
No.
Very good mission. And really sad.
Really?
Yeah, because it comes full circle. So we're in spoilers. Arthur gets tuberculosis maybe 60% through the game.
Yeah.
And from then on, you just know, like he can't make it because it's cowboy era and he has TB. He's fucked. And
so for some reason, the whole time I was like, no, he's going to survive. I know he's going to fucking survive. It makes it that much fucking more horrible.
Yeah.
It's fucking brutal.
I had the game spoiled for me, but I was thinking like...
You didn't know what was going to...
No.
Yeah. Do you want to say how you got your game spoiled for you?
I looked up a fucking tutorial for a treasure map. And...
Like an optional side mission collectible thing?
Which I'd first gotten the treasure map like 20% into the game, into the game story.
Just knew nothing.
So I knew nothing about the game, and the person in the tutorial was playing as John Marston.
Just spoiling that whole surprise.
What an absolute cunt. For real, he should not be making tutorial videos if he's going to do shit like that.
No.
That is so inconsiderate. But anyway. Yeah, so Arthur gets TB.
Have you seen all the different death scenes he has? I watched them all last night.
Ruben told me your one.
Where Micah stabs you stabs you in the chest like what's that Spielberg movie with the knife, the war movie? Saving Private Ryan. He stabs you Saving Private Ryan style. And he stabs you in a way where you're like, okay, no, he can still survive, he can still make this.
Yeah.
Then he starts crawling away Dutch just stands there speechless and walks off. Then Micah's like, well, I'm sorry, or whatever. Well, he says something snide and cunty like that character does.
Yeah.
Then he comes over and they're like, music's building or whatever with his knife. And you think Dutch is going to shoot him in that moment. But the knife just goes into his back and just kills him. Just ends his life just right there.
That is the dark ending. That's like
no, there's a darker one.
Really?
Yeah. That's the option if you go back for the money. If you go with John, there's an even more horrible death in my opinion, where it's the same. You have a fist fight or whatever instead of a knife fight like I had.
Oh, I didn't
It's
realize
way more
you had a
brutal.
knife fight.
Yeah, and he gets like Micah gets cut on the face, I think, or something. Yeah, instead you're fighting on top of like a big hill thing.
Yeah, that's where I had a fight with Micah.
You would have got the honourable death, I guess, where you just die somewhat naturally. But the bad one is Micah just fucking... He just shoots you in the head.
Fucking
point blank range, just fucking explodes his head, yeah. It doesn't explode, but he shoots him square in the skull.
Yeah.
Just instantly killing him. Which I would say is the worst one. Like the most horrible one. You know the flashes of an animal you kind of get sometimes? What was it for you?
It was a deer, buck.
Yeah, it's different based on your honor.
Really?
For me it was a wolf, like a grey black wolf.
That's really fucking cool.
Because I was dishonorable.
When you get TB and you walk through Saint Denis, just all like in a haze, like Arthur has accepted that he's gonna die, and you see the animal walk.
Yeah, it's a wolf.
So that was a wolf for you.
Yeah,
that is so cool.
So I really was a dishonorable man. You were a dishonorable end. I don't think it was. I didn't mind the stabbing death. I would have been really pissed off if I'd got that shooting in the head one, because that's so like
that's bleak.
Yeah.
You see,
my one, the stabbing one isn't bleak, but
my one, I send John off on his merry way and watch the sunset as I slowly die. Like
he just dies on a rock, doesn't he?
Yeah, just on his side, watching the sun rise. Sorry.
Yeah. And of course, your fucking horse dies before that as well.
Yeah, which was the emotional punch for me. That was so because of Arthur's reaction as well.
Yeah, in a fucking gunfight, he's like, no, nothing matters except for this horse right now. And he goes down and fucking
says goodbye.
Yeah, basically. And then that moment where he gives John his hat as well.
Yeah.
So much shit like that. The ultimate payoff of that ending. And at first I was like, because my one is so bleak, I felt fucking horrible. Because I was so attached to Arthur as a character.
Yeah, he's such a good character.
Yeah, I was so attached to him, and I haven't felt that fucking horrible from any piece of media since I watched that film called Nocturnal Animals, where like some really bleak shit is in that film as well. I just felt like shit for ages, and I was like, I really hope that's not the last time I see Dutch.
Yeah.
And you only see him one more time after that, but it's just enough to sort of complete that character's
his full arc.
Yeah, his arc. Because without that, I was like, like he just fucked over Arthur, betrayed him, left him for dead, and that's it. He's just a fucking twat now. He's an absolute monster. But you do get that bit right after. It's so satisfying when you kill Micah, though.
Yeah, I had John's famous.
Yeah, so did I.
Sword off, and he's just covered in blood, like in holes in his face. He's just like.
They had to have Micah though. They had to, because if Dutch had killed, like directly been the one to kill Arthur, it would have been. It just would have felt wrong. Would have felt really unsatisfying. You wouldn't have been
able to have any sort of satisfying ending, and it wouldn't make sense in Red Dead 1 why John is very hesitant to kill Dutch. But it makes sense that he's hesitant because Dutch pretty much saved his life and Sadie's life by shooting Micah.
Yeah,
that shit is so clever. It shows John knows he's bad, but there's still a bit in him.
But there's that history between them.
Yeah.
No matter how bad they've become and how much of a dick he's become, there were good times.
Mm-hmm.
They had times where things were going well and they were like brothers. They trusted each other, you know. And even though you don't see direct history like that, like, you know, at the very start of the game, they keep referencing what happened on the boat or something.
Yeah,
like that.
which they also reference in Red Dead 1.
Do they?
Yeah.
I was really expecting that to be sort of like the hook of the game or something. Like there was going to be
Mhm.
some reveal linked to whatever happened on that boat.
Mm-hmm.
And as far as I'm aware, you never find out.
Do you know what's so fucking cool? Do you remember that side quest in Red Dead 1 with like the ghost man? He's wearing like a suit.
God, I can't remember.
And it ends with the guy saying, "This is a beautiful spot," and he's standing on where John is buried.
Oh, that, yeah.
And then John is like, "Who are you?" Points the gun at him, pulls the trigger, and nothing happens. That guy talks to John about that boat and about the girl that Dutch killed.
In Red Dead 1?
In Red Dead 1. He talks to John about that in that scene.
Really?
Yeah.
Giving you some insight into what happened on the boat.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, I only just remembered it yesterday and I was thinking about, oh, you never actually find out what happened.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you go on to that very boat in Red Dead 1.
Really?
Yeah.
That attention to detail, man. You can see why it took this many fucking years.
Yeah.
Because it's so elaborate. So many characters coming in and out. I thought I really liked when everything went wrong, in terms of like when heists went wrong, when things weren't going well for the characters. Like there's the first time you rob a train, it goes wrong.
Yeah.
And that's just like a fun one. But then later on when you do a heist, it goes wrong and it's not a fun one. It is in terms of gameplay, but in terms of where they are in the story, fucking the wise voice of wisdom gets fucking killed right in front of you.
Basically the paragon to Dutch's renegade.
Basically the only thing keeping Dutch from being totally like warped by Micah. Because after that, Dutch just like, he just kind of goes crazy.
He loses his moral compass, which was Hosea.
Yeah. So without Hosea, and then John gets captured that bit, and Lenny dies.
Mm-hmm. And then Charles runs off to get you saved, and so you don't know what's happened to him. And then you go on a fucking boat to the middle of fucking nowhere.
Oh yeah, of course, the boat surprise. We just go to a different island for a bunch of missions. It's like 9 missions or something. I know Donkey didn't like it.
Yeah.
The only thing I didn't like was that on the map I set a waypoint to get to Dutch, and it took me this way that just always would get me killed, and that just wasn't the way you're supposed to go at all. There was like another route you're supposed to take. That was it.
The one bit that annoyed me on that island was I think it's when Arthur first starts suffering from TB, but he doesn't know he has TB. But it keeps doing this thing when you're aiming with your gun, where it sways. Did you have that? Because I'd aim in, he'd like pull the bolt, and then just when I want to pull the trigger, it swayed off the person I'm trying to hit, and it just kept happening.
Oh really?
And I was like, what the fuck is going on?
Really?
But then
that might have happened, but I can't remember.
But then then it pays off with the doctor appointment, and he's like, "You've got TB," and I was like, "Oh,
yeah." I liked that because I liked the island bit because it was just sort of something new, fresh.
Yeah.
And you're just stripped of everything, but you do get it back.
I like the sort of micro story as well, with like freeing the people that are.
Yeah, it's fun, and I'm just using this Donkey video as like a reference of things to go through. But he also didn't like the Native American.
I thought that had some of the best shit in the whole game.
I felt like that part was really important to display how Dutch had completely changed to how he was at the beginning.
Yeah.
Well, just using and abusing these people to...
Yeah, his ideals are basically the same as theirs, but he doesn't give a shit about them. He's just trying to better himself, which ironically in Red Dead 1, he's still using Native Americans to fight the government.
Mm-hmm. So I thought that I liked all that stuff.
Yeah, there's one incredible mission when you attack like the oil
that
place.
with the whole gang.
Yeah.
Or what's left of it.
Well, for me, because I think I was like the honourable guy, I was riding with a bunch of Native Americans.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
For me, it was Dutch and...
No, for me, it was like Charles...
was Dutch not with you?
He was like further away. I just had all those...
For me, it was like all the scumbags from the gang.
Yeah. Well, I was an honourable dude, so...
Huh. One thing I didn't like about the honour system that makes no sense to me, just going back to that, is there are points where you're asked, do you want to help me, or do you want to come with me, or whatever, and do stuff, where if you say no, you just don't get missions, which to me makes no sense. Because, like, even it's not dishonourable to do a mission and do the mission dishonourably, but you get honour for helping people. It's just saying, yes, I'm going to do this, which makes no sense to me. So it's like,
yeah, I see what you're saying.
You get honour for it, for agreeing to do a mission, even though, like in Mass Effect, you don't get punished for just doing the content. You know? Don't make no sense.
The thing is,
I thought, like, it doesn't make it clear at first that you're just not going to be able to do that content.
Did you miss out on those then?
Well, I usually said, no, I'm not helping you. Thinking that, like, yeah, that would be the, you know, the cowboy, dickish, selfish thing to do.
Yeah. Did you miss out on certain missions then?
But then with the Native Americans, there's a point where I think just by pure accident I said, yeah, I'll help you. And then I saw another mission that appeared on the map and I was thinking, shit, that must mean before I've just missed out on a bunch of missions.
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks. Really annoying.
Yeah, that could probably be told to you better.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that pissed me off. But I'm just going to have to play it again at some point. Maybe try and be honourable.
Yeah, I'm going to do the same, but be dishonourable.
Mm-hmm.
But going past that sort of story stuff to when you are John.
Yeah.
Initially, I was quite disappointed because...
I was as well.
It was... And it is very similar to the idea behind Red Dead 1, the ending of that, where, spoiler alert for Red Dead 1, John gets killed, and you play as Jack.
I feel like they all wanted it to kind of flow, so it's like going from person to person, and the person who takes over sort of redeems the one before them, kind of thing.
It's more vengeance than redeem. Did you notice throughout the whole game, Arthur is basically saying, like, I don't deal with revenge, like, I'm not interested.
Yeah.
And then, like, that's what you do. But yeah, I was initially disappointed when I became John. I was like, this again? And then I'm just going to go kill Micah. But there's a bunch of missions, story missions this time, not just like a side quest, in between, that it brings the mood up.
It's such a tonal shift. It goes to an even more light-hearted version of how Red Dead 1 is at the beginning. Where I remember a lot of like humorous moments because why am I blanking on his name? Main character of Red Dead 1. John. John is always just making fun of people all the time and being like, what? About shit. And he's, because Uncle's there, of course. So he's always playing off that.
At this point in the game, John is much more the John from Red Dead 1 than he is at the start. Because years have passed. Yeah.
It's basically the amount of years between 2 and 1.
Not quite. I think it
nearly is though, because in the credits they show the lawmen catching up to.
Yeah.
John.
They find where he is, but they don't go to him yet. They just know where he is, so when they want him, they'll just go to him. You can assume
many years have passed though since what happened with Arthur and Dutch. Otherwise, it would make no sense if it was like a week later and they were just really chipper. Everyone acts as if they haven't seen each other for a long time.
Yeah.
Did I interrupt something you were saying? Or?
I can't remember.
John. I think it's John. Tone shift.
Yeah, there's a really... You meet a couple of the gang members that didn't get fucking killed. Sadie and Charles. And you just, like, build a house together.
Mm-hmm.
There's that tonal shift. You're just doing nice things, and then it's sort of...
You're doing just, like, menial things, but not boring menial like in the original Red Dead.
Yeah.
When you get to the similar point.
One time entertaining cutscenes with a happy song.
Mm-hmm.
We're building a house. And then...
It's some much needed levity after how
absolutely.
Fucking miserable.
Yeah, the second half of the game is so miserable up until that John bit.
Yeah.
And then obviously you go to Micah, do what needs to be done.
And that's only one mission. It's the very last mission.
Yeah.
There are 21 missions in the Epilogue. The 2 epilogues. And only one of them is like the Dutch Micah thing.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and I think that was handled so well.
Mm-hmm. As it was going along, I was getting more and more worried that Micah and Dutch just weren't going to be in it or something.
Yeah,
I started thinking, if this ends without Micah being in it, I'm going to be really pissed because it will feel like no retribution came from what happened with Arthur.
Because of Red Dead 1, where the guy that kills John, Jack goes and kills him, I thought there's no way they're not going to have you go and kill Micah.
That's what kept propelling me forward as well.
Mm-hmm.
The epilogue doesn't have that hook that the rest of the game has, because it does feel like a conclusion somewhat once Arthur does get killed.
Mm-hmm.
One thing I wasn't that mad about gameplay wise because of that is because you just kind of lose everything in a way.
I didn't like that at first, but you get to keep all your guns.
Yeah, you keep all your guns, but you lose all of your money.
But then you get way more back.
Do you?
Do you you find all of Dutch's money?
Yeah. Or do you actually get... I haven't actually been on the game since the credits rolled.
I've got $22,000.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay, that's okay then, I suppose.
The only thing you really lose is your horse, which makes sense.
Yeah. What about, like, how do you craft things and like you can't upgrade a camp or anything anymore? See, when you were building the house, I thought, oh, the house is going to be the replacement for the camp.
I was hoping that was going to be the case, but because
actually I think I read with the pouches and stuff you can craft. Once you finish the game, you can go and get them for free from somewhere or something, or you can buy them. Yeah, something like that. I know it was also just somewhat inherently unsatisfying because it's like I was so invested in Arthur. I just want to still be playing as Arthur.
Yeah, I almost wish there was an option to just free roam as Arthur.
Yeah, not linked to any narrative, really.
Yeah, I normally don't like that in games. Once you finish it, it goes back to before, like, the last mission.
I was thinking about that as well, yeah.
I normally don't like that, but there are these side quests and stuff that if you don't do them as Arthur, you don't get to do them at all.
Yeah. Or even, yeah, there are missions that are linked to where the camp is and stuff like that. So make sure you do them when you're there.
Yeah, especially if you bought the special edition, because the optional missions are linked to one specific camp.
Did you do it?
Yeah, I did. Because I think it's the bank robbery in Rhodes, I think.
Oh, right, okay.
Did you do that?
I can't remember. I don't know, man.
And then, of course, there's the whole Red Dead 1 map. Just looking fucking amazing.
Yeah, and in the story, you only go to a tiny fraction of it. Just the edge of it.
They didn't need to have more than just, the Blackwater area. But they did.
I'm sure it's gonna ultimately pay off being in Red Dead Online.
Yeah, I think so.
You'll be able to go all there, and there'll be missions there and stuff, I expect. which would be cool.
But I love the game so much.
It's definitely a feat.
Yeah.
I can't believe how impressive it is, just in terms of like. Usually with open world games, the story is not what I'm there for.
No.
Usually it's an afterthought. Well, not an afterthought, but they always fall prey to the restrictions and the limitations that come with that. So something like Far Cry, Assassin's Creed, Skyrim, anything like that. They're fun to play, but the story is always just like, whatever, fuck it. Some vague
all
threat.
Of those you just mentioned, yeah.
Yeah, some vague threat who's coming, or you have to go kill, or some shit like that. And there's no cohesion to any of it.
Yeah.
Whereas everything in Red Dead 2 is so. I don't know how I'm gonna play any old style like open world game after this.
I know. I was thinking that.
You know.
Everything
without a hook as good as like the movement in Spider-Man. I mean, like anything that's as directly comparable. Like imagine going and playing an Assassin's Creed game now. It would seem so video gamey.
Yeah.
I suppose that's one thing. Like people like that video gamey aspect, don't they? Some people don't like this more sim.
Some people like the grind.
Yeah. There isn't really anything like that. It's just so un-video gamey compared to what.
Yeah, it's its own thing. I mean, it's obviously a game and it's fun to play. But yeah, it's not conventional in any way, shape, or form.
Which I think is why there's this. What's the word? Not controversial, but when people are split on it.
Contrarial?
No, not contrarial. Because if you're a contrarian, you're just saying something different to be different.
Which is what James would be doing if he was sat here.
Yeah, true. Fucking James. Shit reasoning for not playing this game. Especially for someone who loved the first game as much as he did.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think we should kill him. We should actually end his life because he didn't play a video game.
Yeah.
7 years worth the wait.com?
7 years worth the wait.org.
Or is it 8 years? Was it 2010?
It was 2010. 8 years. 8 years worth the wait.com?
Yes. I can't believe it runs on the console.
I know. And this game better come to PC.
Oh well. With Red Dead 1 built into it. God, that's really pissing me off that I can't remember the word now. Anyway.
So...
yeah, I think that is why. 'Cause, you know, there is a bit of a... what the? Some people are just like, what the? About it.
Yeah. Because it's...
this shit's not Mario?
Yeah, because,
what the fuck?
Because it's not Mario or Halo. Some people are real fucking idiots.
Why Halo?
I don't know.
You mean Call of Duty?
Yeah.
Call of Duty, I can suck my dick as just a pile of shit.
So, as always, salute all the women.
Representing all the women. Did you hear about that guy on YouTube who got his channel deleted because he uploaded like a Red Dead best moments thing?
Yeah.
And he captured that feminist, hogtied her, and then fucking killed her or something. Exploded her head, and then his channel got terminated.
That is fucking pathetic. On that note, like, comment, and subscribe.
Yeah, we done?
Yeah, I think so.
We've talked about pretty much every element, I think. I just can't wait to play again, but I'm scared to play again because it's just so fucking long.
Yeah. Well, what I'm happy about now is that Huh?
Would you say the main story is replayable?
Yes and no.
Yeah, there'll be certain elements, I feel, like certain missions and stuff that will be like, I don't want to do this again.
It's not so much certain missions, but certain parts of certain missions that I won't want to do again. But then again, the story is so good.
I feel like the best thing to do will be to find out whatever mission it is where the tuberculosis stuff starts happening.
Yeah.
And play up to just before then. Then do everything and explore
everything
get your camp up to the best. Do all that shit, then slowly progress. It's probably the best way to do it.
I hate it when characters die in video games.
I'm okay with characters dying. It's really hard to kill the main character and have it not feel manipulative and hokey and like a cheap move, you know? Where it's like, is Master Chief gonna die in Halo 6?
Who cares? So. Be a good reason to end that bullshit franchise. It should
I mean,
died 4
it's just
years
like,
ago.
well, because this series or character is so devoid of any interesting element. The only way to make any emotion from this scene is to kill X character. Let's kill Cortana. That'll be emotional.
Yeah.
That kind of thing. I mean, or like, didn't they do it in LA Noire as well?
Yeah, the main character just dies at the end
because
by
drama.
Death by water.
Yeah, I did not. I've watched his death on YouTube and thought it was like, what? Such a
At least
weird
have him
death
get
scene.
fucking glocked in the throat or something.
At least have it mean something, yo.
Well, yeah, like
I just love
the
how
whole point of Arthur's arc is that he's going to die and he knows it. That's why he wants to change.
It's so morose. Like he just realizes I've wasted my life, basically.
Yeah, being horrible.
I stand for nothing. I've been lied to by my greatest friend. Oh. It's clocked my fucking mic. It's so fucking depressing. But oddly satisfying for some reason.
It's because he...
Even in the, in the credits where you see his wife or his ex-wife, his ex-girlfriend?
No,
something?
Yeah, ex-girlfriend.
Ex-girlfriend. Who, in any other conventional cowboy thing, he would have wound up with her in a happy ending. But nope, she's in the credits fucking crying at his grave.
Yeah. I thought it was just going to show the clip of her writing... I thought she was writing him a letter. And I thought, like, the idea behind that was that she's just sending letters to him and
he doesn't
dead.
know that he's dead.
But then she's at his grave and...
Wait, do you know how I found out that Arthur had a wife and son who both got killed?
How?
Because I didn't have that cutscene with the...
I found out because I was riding with Rain's Fool.
Yeah, and there's that optional...
Yeah.
Dialogue.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's how I found out as well. I thought that was a cool way of doing it, because in any other game that would have been...
A huge part of his
like,
identity.
The beginning of The Last of Us, basically, is that what happens. But the whole game you're playing and you don't even know...
Yeah,
what's happened in his past.
It's clearly to him not something that identifies him.
No. Yeah.
But it's not why he is the way he is. He just knows that happened because of who he is.
Yeah.
It's so well written.
It's tragic, man.
We're just rambling on now.
As good as Minecraft story mode? As good as Tales for the Borderlands? As good as Life is Strange?
It's not as good as Life is Strange. That's the only one I'd say has a better video game story.
It's got a more authentic, well-written, especially well-acted.
Yeah.
The dialogue is... You think Red Dead Redemption 2 is Coen Brothers level dialogue? I mean, you haven't played Life is Strange.
Life is Strange is Quentin Tarantino level dialogue.
I kind of want to play them just to laugh at them. Laugh with them.
Okay, it's 6 o'clock.
You joking me?
We've been going for 8 hours.
We've been going for 18 hours. Oof.
Okay, good afternoon, morning, evening, or night, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Jar Media podcast.
What the?
Let's just do it without James and not tell him.
Buy the game, play it, or don't. I don't care. Whatever. It's as good as they say, lol.
It's my game, bitch.
Revel in the joys of sport and sunshine for an hour. down. Pass